Now, if you have seen animations or you have an idea of it, there are some scenes where they last longer than others. So we can use a combination of layers and video layers. So if I make a new layer, you can see it just comes on like this. If I add another one, and if I like put them together, like I put this on this, it comes after this. So what if I use a combination of, you can see I made a video group, a combination of regular layers and video layers. So what that means is, for example, in my video layer, I'll draw something. I'll do like a arrow. You don't need the onion skins. I'm not trying to be precise here. And then while this is happening, I want maybe the waves to move, not waves, want there to be like a ground, and then as the arrow comes down, let it come down, oops, and another layer. And another layer, I want like the ground to kind of shake. So in order to do that, this is like the end of the frame. I will make my ground. Oh, and by the way, you can move the stuff in the frame if you don't like the positioning. I move this up a bit. I will go on my layer 3, get like a yellow color, and show that the ground has kind of like moved up like this. And then I will make the rest smooth. Okay, so, or actually, I did something wrong. Delete that. I will make my layer 3 a regular ground. And then hit V on your keyboard to get the move tool. Just kind of drag this back like this. So until now it was a regular ground, but as soon as this guy hits, I'm gonna make it a little bigger so I can make the adjustments correctly. Okay, so as soon as this guy is about to hit the floor on layer 2, I will make the same ground, but now it's like this. So it's like an explosion. Go back in my layer 1 and kind of bring this here. And now if you go frame by frame, you can see it's like that. So after it went in, I have to, let me make another frame for the arrow. Make it look like it fell in, like that's the little tail. Hit V on your keyboard again. I'm gonna make this a little smaller so I can see the end of the thing. And just make it as small as that. So it will be like this. And that's it. So I had 2 instances where I wanted the ground to be the same, similar to our background layer, but then after a certain point I wanted it to be different. So that's why you need to use a combination of video layers and regular layers. Alright, now let's create an actual animation. So far we've only been using weirdly shaped arrows as demonstration. Go on layer 0 or just create a new one. We'll delete this. Make a new video layer, a blank one. Just drag it at the beginning of the timeline. And using onion skins, enable onion skins, I'm going to get my black color or soft gray. I'm going to zoom in and try to draw my character. Well, I'm on the eraser tool. Go to your brush tool. I'll try to draw a character and I will kind of make her shake her arm to us. So I'll make like a circle. It's not the right color. I'll make a circle and then I will add some eyes. Then we can make a little body. Curves inwards, it's fine. Alright, that's my first layer. Using the onion skins, I'm going to create a silly little animation, and then I'll be back so we can evaluate it and see what we used and how it could be better. Okay, I made my animation. It's a really simple one, and if we hit this space bar, you can see that it's really short and it just ends quickly. But if we go frame by frame, we get to see the storyline. I will hit the arrow keys on my keyboard so we can see what exactly happened to this guy. He got sucked into a portal. So if you spend time, maybe get Photoshop on the tablet maybe, and you have the pen to work with, you can create a really detailed animation using these frame by frame capabilities to make your storyline come true. So that's how you create your animation. And let's say I want to export this. I like this. I'm going to export my work. First, I will see where it ends. And by the way, if you bring down this little triangle here, sorry, the one here, you can see the frames you created. You also have some keyframes. I won't get into keyframes right now because that's something you would get into once you're more advanced. And as you can see, we were able to create this very simple animation without using keyframes and just the brush tool and the frames. And yeah, but this shows you how many frames you have made. Let me make them smaller. Now you can see all of the frames. You can't really click on them. You can just move your arrow keys to make certain adjustments if needed. Alright, and another thing is that if you wanted to move a certain thing, if you hit, okay, that. If you hit Control T and you want to move your animations towards the sky, you can do that. And now everything is towards the sky. You can use the Control T to move it around, or if you want to move it another way, you can use the lasso tool. Hold down Control, and then just move them anywhere else you want. And this accounts for all of your animations. But again, if you wanted to make a singular style to one frame, you would have to create a dedicated frame, dedicated layer for that. So if you wanted, let me hit Control D. If you wanted this guy to be like this, but the next guy you want him to have maybe fireworks come out from his head and get a cowboy hat, you would have to do that in another layer. You can call that layer like cowboy guy. And yeah, when you put all of them together, it works for the best. You also have an audio track, which you can mute or unmute here. And then you can add audio or make a new audio track. If you hit that, you can get multiple audio tracks at the same time. You can delete the tracks. If you add audio, it will ask you to import it. Maybe you can do a voice recording and then put like a background music there. And now let's go ahead and export our short animation. First, I'm going to see where my video ends. Okay, it ends here, I think. Oh, there it is. So I want it to end on this note. So I will just grab the end and just pull it back. And also the same thing for my background. And you can see everything is shortened for the animation, for as long as the animation is there. So past this, there's nothing, but before it is all of my animation. So I'll go in File, Export, Render Video. Then you'll get a new panel. And this is where you would give it a name, select a folder, create a new subfolder, and you will choose what will encode this. So Adobe Media Encoder is a separate program that you can get from Adobe. It essentially just exports videos for you or any other feature, maybe an audio or a GIF. The cool thing about Adobe Media Encoder is that it will do things separately. So if I want to export my animation, but I still want to maybe create a new document, I will ask Adobe Media Encoder to encode it for me and export it to the chosen location without me having to wait for Photoshop to export it and then come back for the other things that I want to do. So this will allow me to export it as I'm doing other things on Photoshop. You can choose the format. H.264 is just MP4, but there's QuickTime and DPX. MP4 is the easiest one. You can change the preset. Do you want it to be, again, it depends on where you're going to share this. There's some presets for YouTube and maybe Apple, Android. You can choose a quality, high, medium, low. And then you can choose the size, which we already chose this when we made our canvas, but you can make it bigger or smaller depending on your need or where you want to publish it on. You can even enter the dimensions. Frame rate, you can change the frame rate. The more frame per second, the higher the quality. So 29, it's almost 30. It's actually pretty good. But if you wanted to export this as 4K, which is a really high resolution, you would choose maybe 60 or 50 or something else. But for this little animation, even 30 frames per second is a little too high, but it's fine. But we'll just leave it be. Field order, it will just leave it as progressive. Aspect, leave it as a document. Range, we want all of it, so all frames. And it has 3D quality, which we'll just leave the default. I will name this man. I'll select a folder. Let's just put it on my desktop. And let's hit render. It's going to take a while to export it. It all depends on how long it is and how much detail are in there. Let's see, it has exported it. There it is. Let's double click it and see what we created. And like we said, because it's such a short animation, this happened because our setting was on 30 frames per second, which means that we need 30 frames to make a full second. And we only made, I think, 10 or 12, and you can see it's not even a full second. So if I wanted 1 second, I should have made 30 frames. So if you wanted a 5-minute video, you have to make 9,000 frames. Welcome to the world of animation. Just going to leave it there. Close this off, and that is how you use the animation workspace for Photoshop, where you can make your own animations, and you can even bring in images from maybe your phone to draw off your sketches or get reference images from the internet to better help you with the drawing. So it's really easy. As you saw, there wasn't anything complicated. There was just some settings that you had to change. And I hope you guys enjoyed this.